Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to today's event. We'll be making a candy DNA model today. So before we hop into learning about DNA and making our model, let's talk about what everyone's favorite candy is. So can you guys type in the chat what your favorite candy is? Personally, mine's gummy bears. Actually, I think I like anything gummy. Gummy sharks are also pretty good. Also, Claire, it is okay if you don't have pipe cleaners. You don't need pipe cleaners or licorice. You can just use toothpicks if you have those. Okay. We'll wait a couple more minutes um, just to see if we have more stragglers too. Nerds. Yep. Nerds are a good candy. I loved nerds growing up. I think the best flavor is strawberry. Very biased though. Kit Kats are also good. Have you guys ever had like the dark chocolate ones or like the green tea ones? There's a lot of variation. Okay, you guys all have really great candy taste. So let's move on to the next slide. In the meantime, you guys can get your materials ready. The materials here are also kind of open-ended, so you don't necessarily need exactly what we have listed. For the candy example, you can have any kind of like squishy candy you want. So you could use like gumdrops, you could use fruit snacks, anything that has a little bit of squish that you'll have 4 different colors of. For example, Lily's going to be using gummy bears and licorice today. But if you don't have licorice or if you don't have pipe cleaners, just your candy and some toothpicks will probably work. Okay, so let's start learning about DNA before we make our model. Okay, so what does everyone think that our bodies are made out of? Do we think our bodies are made out of candy? Do we think our bodies are just made out of random stuff? You can take a guess, but what does everyone think makes up our bodies? Nerds, that's maybe. It'd be pretty cool if our body was made out of candy. Okay, so our body is actually made of something called cells. Pretty much everything is made of cells except for viruses. And cells are the building blocks of life that make up our bodies and help us continue to be alive as well. So, how small does everyone think cells are? Do we think cells are really big? Do we think cells are really, really small? You can just give us like a rough estimate of how big you think a cell is. Do you think it's the size of maybe like a bead? Is it the size of a grain of sand? Is it even smaller? It's maybe a little bit bigger. You can just give kind of a comparison. You don't have to give like an exact size. Small, yep. So cells are actually very, very, very small. You can't see them with the naked eye. You actually need a microscope to see cells. They're so small, in fact, that they're 1/100th or 1/1000th the size of a grain of salt. So they're about 1,000 times or 100 times the size of a grain of salt, depending on what kind of cell it is. Okay, so now that we've learned about cells, we're going to move on to learning about how cells function. Okay, so cells have a lot of jobs in us to keep our bodies working and to keep us healthy. One of their functions is to store something called DNA. DNA basically tells our cells what to do. It's basically like an instruction manual for our cells and tells them how to function. And all living organisms have DNA, and everyone's DNA is unique. So your DNA is 100% unique to you. You have different DNA than like your brother, your mom, whoever, unless you're a twin. If you have a twin, your DNA is 100% the same as your twins. DNA also has genetic material. Genetic material is what makes us related to our family members. Okay. So DNA is what makes you who you are. And like I just said, your DNA is completely unique to you. In addition, your DNA determines what you look like on the outside, so it can determine how tall you are, what color eyes you have, your hair color, and then they're also responsible for keeping us healthy and making sure that our bodies are functioning. Okay? So what is our DNA made out of? We know it's really important. It does a lot of good things for us. So we want to know also what it's made out of. And DNA is made out of even smaller pieces called nucleotides. And these nucleotides form very, very, very long chains. And there are 4 different types of nucleotides. They're called adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. And we'll use abbreviations because those are really long, difficult to memorize names. So for thymine, we use a little T to represent it, and you can see it's a little blue block up in the left corner. For adenine, we'll use red and an A to represent it, which is in the upper right corner. For cytosine, we'll use C, and you can see it's a little green kind of block. And then for guanine, we'll use kind of a yellow color, and we'll use a G to represent it. And as you guys can see in the picture to the right, that the nucleotides basically pair together. You can see that adenine, or A, pairs with thymine, or T, and guanine, which is G, will pair with cytosine, or C. And the reason that these nucleotides pair together in the first place is because we want them, or they hold our DNA together and make it strong. Because if our DNA breaks, that's bad. And it can make us unhealthy and cause diseases and bad things if our DNA is not strong. Okay. So DNA also looks like a twisted ladder. I don't know if you guys have ever seen models of DNA before, but it basically looks like a twisted up ladder like you can see on the right. And basically there are 2 strands that make up our DNA, and each strand has nucleotides, and they bond and then they twist. So DNA is complementary. This means that one strand is going to have specific nucleotides, and the other strand will have the nucleotide that it pairs with. Nucleotides have specific partners that only they want to attach to. For example, puzzle pieces can also be complementary. Puzzle pieces go together and will only fit with the right partner. So what does this all mean for our DNA? Imagine that one strand of the DNA is AGT. So the other strand on the opposite side, or the complementary strand, will be TCA, because those are the nucleotides that pair together. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to practice pairing our nucleotides. We're going to be pairing our nucleotides when we make our candy DNA model, so we want to make sure that we got this down. So remember, DNA is made out of 2 long strands called nucleotides. So we're going to practice pairing them up. Also remember that adenine A pairs up with thymine T, and guanine G pairs up with cytosine C. And if you guys forget that, you can see it in the picture to the right again. You can see that C is across from G, meaning they pair together, and T is across from A, which means that they pair together. So for example, if we have one strand that's GTAC, then the other strand is going to be CAG. TG. So, okay, now that we've gone over the concept a little bit, we're gonna practice. So you guys have some practice problems here. You have about 3 of them. So I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to look at the practice problems and see if you can find the strand that matches with it. So once you guys finish the first problem or any of the problems, you can type in the chat what you think the answer is, and we'll go over them after. So for the first problem, we have TAA. So what do you guys think the complementary strand to that is? And remember what pairs with what. So you have the picture to help you remember which nucleotide pairs with which, and then you also have the little bolded statement up above to tell you or to remind you which nucleotide will pair with the other one. And yep, that's exactly right. ATT is the first one. If you guys are having trouble with this or you don't know what we're doing, you're kind of confused, you can type in the chat as well. And we're also going to go over the answers at the end to make sure that everyone's on the same page and understands. Okay, you guys are really smart. You got the first one. If you got the first one, move on to number 2 and number 3. Yep, second one, the first strand is GCA. So the complementary strand is going to be CGT. That's right. You guys are really good at this. Yep, you can even write out the full names if you want. Thymine, adenine, adenine. That's correct. CGT, the second one. You guys are really good at this. You can be geneticists. Okay, for the last one, yep, AG. Yeah, AGTA. Okay, Claire feels confused. Let's see. Claire, can you type out in the chat what you feel confused about? Are you confused about the pairing, or are you confused about another concept? Okay, wow, you guys are really good. Seems like most people are getting most of the answers. Okay, so let's go to the next slide and we'll see if you guys got the answers right. And I think you did, because that's what you guys have been typing in the chat and got them all right. You guys are really good at pairing DNA strands. Okay, now that we've learned about DNA a little bit, we're gonna move on to making our DNA candy model. So I'll hand it off to Lily.
Hello, my name is Lily. Can everybody see me? Okay, so everybody can see me. Okay, so cool. Okay, so the materials we're going to need today are gummies, and today I'm using gummy bears and licorice pieces. So if you don't have any licorice pieces, it's okay. I can do another model where we don't need licorice pieces, and we're going to need toothpicks, a writing utensil, I'm using a marker, and 2 pieces of paper. So with our first piece of paper, we're going to draw 4 equal squares. You could go ahead and fold it 4 times if you'd like. I'm just going to go ahead and draw the square. see my papers. They're not equal, but that's okay. So after you've drawn your 4 squares, we're going to label each square, one type of nucleotide. So I'm going to label my top right corner for me as adenine, so for A, and the other one T for thymine, the other one C for cytosine, and the other one G for guanine. This is what my piece of paper looks like. Thymine, adenine, cytosine, guanine. Let me know if I'm going too fast. So after we have our piece of paper ready, go ahead and grab your gummies and pick a color for each nucleotide. So this gummy bear has 5 different colors, so I'm gonna use 4 of them because we have 4 nucleotides. And I'm gonna make adenine red, the red gummy bear, and place it on where your A squared is. And pick a color for thymine, and I'll make that yellow, a yellow gummy bear, and place it in my thymine box. And I'm gonna make this clear color, cytosine, and put it in my C box. And one more color. Let's see, what color should I use? Let's use orange. And orange will be guanine. Oh no, let's use green instead. I have not used green. Green will be guanine. So after picking the colors for my nucleotides, we're gonna have 10 different base pairings. So go ahead and pick 5 red ones, or 5 gummies for adenine, 5 gummies for thymine, 5 for cytosine, and 5 for guanine. And make sure they're the same colors for each nucleotide. Go ahead and organize it. Adenine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Sage says to wait. I am sorry. I'll give everybody 3 minutes to organize. Three, 4, 5. Oops, that's yellow. Four, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I officially have 5 gummy bears in each square. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys 2 minutes.
Hey Lily, do you want to know a fun fact about DNA?
Yes.
So, your DNA could stretch from the Earth to the Sun and back around 600 times.
Whoa. That's really long.
Also, we're all 99.9% alike.
That's super cool.
And genes make up only about 3% of your DNA.
What? DNA is so cool. So how's everybody doing? Go ahead and type in the Q&A if you're ready. Someone says, can it be different colors? Yes, you need 4 different colors. If you don't have 5 of the same color, that's okay. We only need 4 different colors, but if you don't have any of different colors, you can go ahead and kind of assign them the nucleotides. Like, we'll be labeling them later. Just wait 1 more minute. Yeah, so if you have the same colored gummies, you could label them another way. You can poke them through with a chopstick, not with a chopstick, with a toothpick. You can mark it with a marker. Okay, let's now move on to the next step. So grab your chopsticks. And what we're gonna do is pair up our nucleotides. So since y'all were doing such a great job finding the complementary strands, we are gonna now build our own model by beginning to stick our gummies through these toothpicks. And be careful not to poke yourself. So my red one is adenine. So the other one that I would stick through is thymine, which is my yellow gummy bear. And let me know if the camera quality or the lighting is not good and you can't see. And be careful not to poke yourself. And that's one. I have my adenine and thymine. And keep doing this until you've finished with the rest of your gummy bears or gummies. I'm not going to do cytosine and guanine. Make sure not to poke yourself. That's 2. This is my cytosine and guanine.
Hey Lily, do you know how to describe the structure of a DNA molecule?
It looks like a twisted ladder, right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so that name is it's called a double helix.
Cool. I wonder why it's called a double helix. What is a helix? I have my third one. It's thymine and adenine.
So a helix is an object having a three-dimensional shape like a wire.
Oh,
So that's why a DNA model looks like a spiral staircase.
super cool. These gummy bears are delicious. Haribo. If you would like, you can go ahead and type in the chat what type of gummies you're using. You could use fruit snacks, gumdrops, gummy bears. Yeah, so Umir asked in chat, how's everyone doing? Go ahead and respond to him. Okay, couple more gummies to go.
Hey Lily, do you know what DNA stands for?
No, what does it stand for?
It stands for the word deoxyribonucleic acid.
That's really long.
Yes.
I know Jasmine asked this earlier. She asked, what's everybody's favorite type of candy? Mine's Haichu. I don't know if everybody tried that yet. I believe it's a candy from Japan. It's like a really hard gummy, and I don't think you could use it for this activity. Okay, so I've paired up all my nucleotides together, and so how's everybody doing? I'll just give everyone 3 more minutes. Go ahead and type in the chat if you're ready. I really want to eat some candy. I shouldn't though. Just gonna give everyone 1 more minute. For those that are ready, go ahead and grab your second piece of paper and line up your nucleotides like so. Okay, so now that's been 3 minutes. If you haven't already, go ahead and line up your nucleotides like what I did on this new piece of paper. And what we're going to do is label our nucleotides, just like we did with the activity we did with Jasmine, where we paired up, we found the complementary strand. So what we're going to do, grabbing the square piece of paper. So my yellow one here was, I believe, thymine, and my red one was adenine. And you're just going to keep labeling your nucleotides. My red one was adenine, my yellow one was thymine. And you're just going to do this with all your nucleotides. Green one was guanine, and this one's cytosine. For those who forgot, remember thymine T pairs up with adenine A, and cytosine C pairs up with guanine G. For those who haven't seen what I did. For those who are also ready to move on, go ahead and keep going with this part of the activity. ahead and finish labeling my DNA strand. How's everyone? Go ahead and please type in the chat. I'll give everybody 3 minutes. What's really weird about these gummies that I picked out is that the green ones are strawberry. I would expect the red ones to be strawberry. I wonder why they made it green. What flavor are the red ones? Raspberry. It's really weird that green is strawberry. I wonder if it's like that for all gummy bears. Is anybody ready to move on? How much time does everybody want to have left for this part of the activity? A fun fact, both Jasmine and I are bio majors, so we take classes about DNA. Okay, Zaid, where do you think you are right now? That's okay. As long as you have gummies and toothpicks, that's okay. We're gonna do 2 different types of models. If you don't have licorice, that's okay. I will show you a different way on how to make these models. Okay, so we're now going to move on to the next step. If you have licorice, oh no, this one's broken. Go ahead and grab 2 pieces of licorice if you have them, but that's okay. You can watch me how I make my model from now on, and if you have any licorice later and gummies and toothpicks, you could always build this model later. And then after this, I'll show you a different way on how to make a DNA molecule. So with the piece of licorice and your first pairing, go ahead and stick one end of the toothpick inside the licorice, like so. Let me know if you can't see that. And then to the other piece of licorice. Like this. And you're going to do this to all of your gummies. Try to make the spacing between each gummy pretty even. I have my second one on right now. Looks like this. Make sure you don't poke it too strong or your licorice will break. How's everybody doing? Okay, so my DNA model's finished. I can't seem to fit these other 2 in, but that's okay. Well, this is what mine looks like. Looks like a ladder. Just like we mentioned before. So DNA basically looks like a ladder when it's not twisted. And you can think of these nucleotides, these gummy bears, as steps, like the steps on a ladder. And these sides right here as the rails. Very cool. And if you're finished with making your model, you go ahead and twist your candy DNA model, and it looks just like a DNA model, like a double helix. Super cool. Oh no, my licorice is breaking. Go ahead and please type in the chat on how you're doing, and if you have any questions. So that's one model. I am not going to show if y'all don't have any licorice, there's another way to make a DNA model. So what we're going to do is the same technique. You have gummies. Go ahead and twist, poke one through a toothpick, but leave it at the end. Just want to slide through like this, and stick another one through like this. Go ahead and stick it through. It's okay, Yasha. You can see what I'm doing for now, and if you ever get candy later, you can try this again. How's everybody doing on their models? Seem to find any clear ones. Uh-oh. I think I'm out of clear ones. Oh, that one. No, you don't have to do the second one. The second one is a way for me to show if you don't have any licorice, it's another technique. Okay, so now go ahead and I'm gonna grab these three and stick a toothpick through them into this gummy bear. Stick it. When you do this, make sure to be careful. Gummy bears are kind of hard to poke through. This is what I have so far. When you want to do this activity, you have to be very careful. These toothpicks are really sharp. So make sure to do this with a parent or guardian. I'm sorry, I'm very weak. So this is kind of what I have so far. Since we're almost out of time, we're now going to recap. But if you would like to keep building it this way, go ahead and do one chopstick for each 3 gummy and keep connecting them like this. Oops. Go ahead and keep connecting them. Then later on, after you're finished with your model, you're able to twist it. See how you're able to move it a little bit. How's everybody's models? I really like my licorice model. It's so easy to twist. It's really cool. So now we're going to do a quick recap. Okay, so go ahead and type in the chat in your own words, what is DNA? And what is a cell? Also remember that DNA is made out of 4 different nucleotides called adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. These 4 nucleotides also pair with each other. Make sure to remember that adenine pairs with thymine and cytosine pairs with guanine, or A pairs with T, C pairs with G. DNA also looks like a twisted ladder because the nucleotides pair together. So after you finish with your models, you can go ahead and twist them, just like how DNA actually is. And now it's now 2:01, so that's the end of our activity. Thank you for coming.